to shattered dreams.
Hello, friends. This is Sam Chaney reporting for Weaponized News. Today, April 8th, 2025. Thank you for joining us on this Tuesday edition of Weaponized News. We have Thomas from Alpha Mega Energy on the line with us today. But before we bring him in, let's go ahead and let me give you the hook, as they say. A lot about the tariffs back and forth going on here. A lot about the tariffs. We've got 111 executive orders by Trump since he's taken a second term. All unconstitutional. Who cares? Where's Congress? On vacation. Our government's dysfunctional. They should disband and abolish it. What else do we got? Well, Trump signed executive orders. We'll cover some of the executive orders around energy. 104% tariffs on China. So that's we're in a trade war with China, essentially. Cover that, other countries back and forth, negotiations with the tariffs. Who runs the economy? Trump says he's not going to let Wall Street run the economy, to paraphrase him. I think we have his exact quote somewhere. We'll go through that. Well, the central bank runs the economy, is who runs the economy. But Trump's acting like the president of America runs American economy. He doesn't. We're going to go through that. What happened to the stock market? Extremely volatile today. It went from 17. What is the math on this? I want to say like 1,400 up to 300 down, something like this. So on the Dow Jones, so some like 1,700 points in volatility today, something like this. Extremely volatile there in the stock market. As your conservative right-wing media shills say, who cares about money? And literally laugh in your face. So that's always enjoyable. I don't know how these people have any credibility whatsoever, but hey, they're propped up by the intelligence agencies, so I guess they're the good guys, and they're full of shit, but I don't know. They have giant audiences, so apparently people like being lied to and humiliated. Apparently we have a large portion of the population that's are sadomasochists, I guess, is what you would call them at this point. I don't particularly like it. I know our audience doesn't particularly like it, but it seems there are a large majority out there that do. But who even knows? Who even knows about the numbers? It could all just be fake for all we know. We got local news. As big fans of corruption here, we're saddened by Boston City Councilor has pled guilty to federal corruption charges. And so we're very sad about that as fans of corruption, that we would have this Boston City Councilor plea guilty to corruption. But still no one in the federal government has got in trouble for all of the shenanigans, the fraud, taxpayer theft, taxpayer money theft that the DOGE has exposed. No one gets in trouble. They just literally laugh in our face. We got that. Some horrific crimes, more horrific crimes. Wouldn't you know? Wouldn't you know? Out of California. Some good news here out of California. We'll get to it. Voter ID laws upheld there in Huntington Beach. There are a bunch of racists there, of course, because God forbid you ask ID for voting. It's clear racism. Fluoride, even though piece of trash Speaker of the House Mike Johnson says fluoride in the water deserves another look. Seems that the one big win we can take here in public health is fluoride. Looks like there's no turning around. There's no turning around the fluoride ship here. Looks like they lost that battle. So that's a big win, actually. What else do we got? We got some geopolitical news. Trump approves historic $1 trillion defense budget. I called it the war budget. It is the war budget. Big saber rattling with Iran continues. Are we going to... There's reports that we're lining up a bunch of bombers. So are we going to bomb Iran? I hope not. I sure hope not. They are saying, as in the reports out there on the interwebs say that there will be direct negotiations between the United States and Iran. We got all that. Of course, Aardvark news, as always. We got Ursula von der Leyen, who could say they did not see this coming, with a statement saying that Europe has the values of the Talmud, and so we do appreciate their satanic values. Was there ever any doubt? But she actually says it. Just what do you even say to these people? They're just in your face. I guess this is all part, whether it's a revelation of the method, this is all part of just literally showing you to your face, hey, we're occultists, Satanists. They're hell-bent on depopulation, and that's the way it is. If you don't like it, we'll deport you, throw you in prison, and we may just drone you. Hell, look like an enemy combatant terrorist to me. Close enough, right? All that and much more on this Tuesday edition of Weaponized News. Let's get to this day in history. On this day, going back to the year 1730, Congregation Sharif of Aardvark land opens the first North American synagogue in New York City on Mill Street in Lower Manhattan. So you can mark that down as a big day for Satan in America. Moving forward here to 1766, the first fire escape is patented. It was a wicker basket on a pulley and a chain. In 1783, Catherine II of Russia annexes the Crimea. They've been fighting over that for freaking, forever, basically. Over the Crimea there, right? In Russia or Ukraine. In 1801, soldiers riot in Bucharest and kill 128 aardvarks. In 1802, French Protestant church becomes state-supported and controlled. In 1904, British occultist Aleister Crowley transcribes the first chapter of the Book of the Law. Moving on to 1913, the most infamous year in American history. The 17th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution is ratified by Congress, providing for election of senators by popular vote, taking the power away from the states. Wouldn't you know? 1913. They did a hell of a lot of damage. That is, the international bankers did a hell of a lot of damage to America, the constitutional republic that we thought we had in 1913. And I did know, but I didn't realize the extent of the tyranny of FDR. This guy, he doesn't get nearly as much credit for what a tyrant he was. In 1943, then U.S. President Franklin Roosevelt, in an attempt to check inflation, freezes wages and prices, prohibits workers from changing jobs unless the war effort would be aided thereby, and bars rate increases to common carriers and public utilities. Talk about tyranny, man. He threw Japanese Americans in internment camps just for being freaking Japs. You know what I'm saying? Like, dude, he does. FDR don't get nearly enough credit for being just a tyrannical maniac. But it's all for all and good, even though they knew about Pearl Harbor, right? It's all for the war effort. Don't complain. It just makes me mad. In 1946, the League of Nations assembles for the last time. Sadly, the first modern attempt at world government failed there at the League of Nations. In 1952, U.S. President Harry Truman seizes steel mills to prevent a strike. It's pretty tyrannical as well. In 1966, Time magazine, CIA Time magazine, publishes its quote, "Is God Dead" issue. The first issue it published without an image on the front cover. In 1986, Clint Eastwood, the famous Hollywood actor, Make My Day, Dirty Harry, he was elected the mayor of Carmel, California. In 1994, smoking was banned on this day at the Pentagon and military bases. And in 2024, just last year, the Vatican rejects sex changes. They're transphobic bigots there, I'm telling you. I don't know what we're going to do with them. Okay, let's bring on Thomas, but we'll have a transition here. Let's do a transition of Trump with a shovel. You never would have thought you would see it, but you'll see it today. Trump plants magnolias at the White House. And so here's Trump with a shovel digging a hole. Is he digging the grave of the American economy? We shall see.
We have a beautiful tree now at the White House. Dale's been here 53 years. He's fantastic. Dale, grab a shovel. Go ahead. I got a shovel.
Thomas, how are you doing this Tuesday?
Doing all right. It's good to be here on Weaponized News. Thanks for having me.
So somebody on this show predicted that the stock market was going to go down a couple of weeks ago, didn't they?
Yeah, that would be myself. Hopefully everyone followed my timely, very simple advice, incredibly simple advice, and cashed in at the record top and sold their stock, cashed in the record gains, and bought Alpha Omega Energy. Unfortunately, I can tell you, I can report, as I was expecting, very few people would do it, and they're just going to ride it all the way down, standing there with their, looking like a bunch of deer in a headlight, once again, ignoring the fundamentals of investing. And it's quite strange. I mean, obviously, it's very good that the social media has come about, and you've got all these small private independent media and whatnot. But one thing I noticed, I was talking about earlier and yesterday, was that at least when we had the centralized mainstream media, when it came to financial matters, we were all listening to the financial professionals, Wall Street, etc. And the advice, the information that was coming out was actually quite good. And now, I mean, it's so fragmented. You got every crypto scammer in the world like you're saying before, all these fake conservatives have these huge followings orchestrated now by the CIA.
I don't know how they have any following, because they're literally saying, go broke, who cares about money? They're saying as they're getting paid to shill for this whole, for all these tariffs, for Trump, essentially, for the government. They're shills for the government. No respect at all for them.
Right. So what they've done now to control the domain and the total information awareness in total information control effort by the deep state, the military-industrial complex, the intelligence community complex, and so on, which is all of Silicon Valley and all of their platforms. So what they've done is they prop up and they fund, they spend through government funding. And if they can't censor and attack all of these, the true independent and true conservatives and whatnot, which now they've lost some of that ability to censor them so wholly like before, though they're still doing it, just maybe not as much on some of the platforms as they were before. They've had to let their foot off the throat of many of these people on platforms like Fascist Book and Linked Out and others. Those are my monikers.
Linked Out.
Yeah, those are my monikers. Deleted my account and criminally vandalized my accounts on multiple occasions. Very clearly, yet another criminal organization. And of course, in LinkedIn, Reid Hoffman's LinkedIn, for those who don't know, he is the guy who orchestrated the big Jewish tech RICO cartel, the big aardvark RICO cartel, who collaborated these 26, they call it big tech, but it's not big tech. There's many technology companies in America, and the ones who are censoring are the aardvark companies. That's very
monopoly.
clear.
It's monopolies is what it is.
Well, it's that particular monopoly. It's not the others who are doing that. It's not Gab that's doing that. It's not the independent companies. It's not the these are not your big advertisers, whatnot, in the rest of the economic environment, right? Your traditional Americans, American ideologues amongst the business community. It's not them doing it. It's very clearly the aardvark owned and controlled and run, big tech companies. That's very clear. So people should make no mistake there as to who's running the show.
Come on, Thomas. They built it in their garage.
Yeah, right. With
it wasn't handed to them by ARPA, DARPA, the Pentagon. They built all this in their garage because they're tech geniuses, don't you know?
Yeah. So it's Reid Hoffman and LinkedIn who orchestrated all of this. Is Reid Hoffman who funds all of this anti?
The aardvarks are good frontmen to hate. That's why it feels like a setup to me.
It's Reid Hoffman who funds all of these fake orchestrations, the fake whistleblowers against Trump. Reid Hoffman funded the Christine Blasey Ford, who is CIA. Against Kavanaugh, that massive charade. Is Reid Hoffman who funded the Jean Carroll fraud against Trump, where he made this payout to make it go away and shut it up finally. They chose that option for some reason. And then the leftist democrat media, all lies that he was convicted of all of these things, which he wasn't. Is Reid Hoffman doing all of that? And Reid Hoffman is on the board with Bill Gates on Microsoft. It's been consolidated into one board. Microsoft bought LinkedIn, and LinkedIn still exists, and they're just one big board.
Maybe, well, they're saving us from Trump. They tried and they failed, so I don't know what we're going to do now.
Yeah, saving us from Trump and the Israel thing. I mean, it's a very strange ring around the rosy of 5D chess that they're playing. They're against Trump, but actually not.
They made him a martyr, that's for sure. Let's get to the news here. Trump's historic pace: 111 executive orders so far. Its historic pace today marked Trump's signing of his 111th executive order, marking the highest number at this point in a presidency in the last 100 years. But these executive orders are not law, and we see many of them challenged. He gets some wins in court, some losses. and the next president to come along can easily overthrow them. So Congress, if our government was functioning correctly, Congress would be passing laws to the effect of the executive orders here now, but they can't seem to get it together there in our democracy as they scream at us. So let's hear now about the tariffs from the White House. Do we have a short clip of that? I think did I have a short clip? Yeah, here's a short clip. Here's a tariff update from the White House this morning.
Just yesterday, President Trump held a bilateral meeting with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu here at the White House. The Prime Minister pledged to immediately eliminate America's trade deficit with Israel and remove their trade barriers. Israel's proactive approach should serve as a model for the rest of the world. Also yesterday, the President spoke with Japan's Prime Minister, who wants to negotiate as well. The President also spoke to the acting President of South Korea this morning. He has tasked Secretary Bessent and U.S. Trade Representative Jameson Greer to lead these talks. In total, since the Liberation Day announcement, nearly 70 countries have already reached out to the President to begin a negotiation. Countries are falling over themselves to reform their unfair trade practices and free open their markets to our country. Why? Because these countries greatly respect President Trump and the sheer power of the American market. These countries realize they've gotten filthy rich over the past few decades by imposing substantial tariffs on American-made products and ridiculous non-monetary barriers to block out American industry. The jig is up. Past American presidents sat by and let this happen, but President Trump stood up for our country, and he is saying no more. The president's message has been simple and consistent from the beginning. To countries around the world, bring us your best offers, and he will listen. Deals will only be made if they benefit American workers and address our nation's crippling trade deficits. America does not need other countries as much as other countries need us, and President Trump knows this. He's going to use the leverage of our markets and our country to the advantage of the people he was sworn in to represent. On the other hand, countries like China, who have chosen to retaliate and try to double down on their mistreatment of American workers, are making a mistake. President Trump has a spine of steel, and he will not break, and America will not break under his leadership.
So I'd like to bring up this chart here about the stock market that I showed recently here. So I said, as the chart says, right, stock market bubble to burst to 45.50. Warren Buffett sold all of his stocks.
But you were just trying to scaremonger to get people to invest in your company. That's why you were doing that.
Right, apparently so. The right-wing irony there. So let's all say together, whoops! Did you cash in and invest to AOE? So I was encouraging everybody here, right up here at 6,200. I was saying sell the top, right? Save your ass and reposition, rebalance into a little tiny startup like mine, breakthrough energy startup that's at the beginning that can't go down anywhere because, right, we're not on the stock market. We're brand new. We're early stage. We're pre-seed. And I said here, right, down to 45.50. Warren Buffett and BlackRock and all these big Wall Street types, your Cantor Fitzgerald rug pullers of all history, implicated in shorting, right, Howard Lutnick, Commerce Secretary, implicated in shorting the 9/11 stocks. There's two companies, two firms that were implicated in that more than anybody else, and it was Cantor Fitzgerald and also Soros. So why not make him a Commerce Secretary if he's implicated in shorting the 9/11 stocks? So here's the 45.50 line, this green line down here, and we've already collapsed down through 4,800 down here, already down in this area right now, 4,800. So we're back inside of this long-term channel of rising profits, rising profitability. Into the top of it, though, however, we're not. This is just coming back into realistic pricing. Everything above was a massive air bubble, froth, the foam, if you will, the foam on the beer, We're not even into the beer yet, folks. So, and of course, the advice, as I was saying before, Sam jumping in there, again, a little bit off my track. The the quality of the advice, since everybody is splayed into a million different directions, instead of looking at these Wall Street heads, the commentarians, and all of these mainstream media networks are trying to get the best people that they could onto their shows, but there was a lot of stock fraud orchestration as they were trying to control the retail, and Jim Cramer, famous for using the public as the exit liquidity for these investment bankers, dumping every piece of dog crap that they can dump on everybody at the absolute peak and telling everybody to buy this. And that's exactly when Wall Street is selling, dumping this onto the retail public, and they're selling, and then they collapse it down, leave you hanging, and destroy all the short positions on the traders, wipe everybody out, and orchestrate these 20%, 30, 40, 50% collapses. And that looks like what they're doing here. This is just the beginning. So all these people talking about that there's going to be a magical rebound from here, all the way back up to these completely froth bubble foam prices. This is totally delusional. As Klaus Schwab said, it's not gonna happen, right? It's totally delusional. This is the new normal, right? To actual reality pricing, how it's been according to long-term pricing standards, and it's amazing. The quality of advice amongst the public is is just beyond idiocy. What's been going on, because you have it's every Tom, Dick, and Harry being propped up by the establishment, propped up by the deep state to flood the zone, and they're funding them, giving them free advertising credit, giving them all of this stuff, orchestrating this to drown out any quality information. So it's not the old school centralized Jim Cramer doing it. Now they have this army of disinformation people flooding the zone with this crap. And that's who is getting propped up, as Sam is alluding to. And people don't understand how any of this works. And it's gotten worse. It's gotten way worse. I grew up very young, investing and studying the markets very avidly, probably much more than anybody would ever care to in a lifetime, endlessly studying until 3 a.m. and waking up in the office, being woken up by other people coming into the office, based on the keys, studying the investment markets and historical investment markets continuously. And it's amazing how bad the information is right now as to what's going on. Trump is getting all of the blame, particularly by the Democrat media, for collapsing the stock prices. Trump has nothing to do with it. Trump has nothing to do with the stock prices going down. We're in a record bubble. The record bubble of all bubbles, never seen before in history, this bubble. And nobody said that. I'm the only guy saying this, for Christ's sake. For the last 6 months, I'm the only guy saying this. It's amazing. Yet 2 years ago, famous economist that's got the best, most accurate record in history, Harry Dent, of the famous books from 25 years ago, Boom, Bust, and Echo, 2010, after the boom. These kind of the most accurate economic predictor in the last 100 years. And he was screaming to sell the market 2 years ago that it's at a record high, record top, and these prices are unsustainable. And now we're 2 years more of froth bubble on top of that. So we're not going back anytime soon to that. Obviously, BlackRock is not going to pay for those high prices. Obviously, Warren Buffett is not going to pay for those higher prices, and so on, right? It's not going to happen. So these people that think the market is going to rebound and this is a discount, I mean, these people are, I don't like to use the word and get into this Americanism of just calling everybody idiots, but this is outrageous.
Americanism, that's pretty funny. Okay, let's get to the news here. Trump signs, this is right up your alley too. The energy industry here, Thomas. Trump signs executive order to revive coal industry. Today, Trump signed an executive order aimed at revitalizing the American coal industry. The order directs the Interior and Energy departments to support coal production and prevent the retirement of existing plants. It also emphasizes the use of coal to power AI data centers, highlighting its role in national security and the AI's arms race. The move is intended to put coal miners back to work and is framed as an effort to end what is described as Joe Biden's war on beautiful, clean coal.
Yeah, so this is exactly what Alex Jones, right, the aardvark shill of shills.
Don't be mean to Alex Jones. You're breaking my heart.
The aardvark cover-up agent, the number one cover-up agent since 2004, who just said, right, he came out with this fake pyramid scam under the pyramids as soon as the JFK files come out and show that aardvark land and the aardvarks were involved. Total distract from that with this just blatant fraud. More UFO alien bullcrap, yet he still hasn't managed to find the very first alien-owned YouTube or TikTok or Twitter or any of this, or Twitch. They still haven't even made a Twitch. I guess the aliens don't like video games either, right? You can't find them there either. They can't use a FaceTime. They can't use a Skype. They can't use a phone. They can't use a video. I guess
they're interdimensional. They're not on this plane of our existence.
I guess they're just so dumb they can't possibly understand any of this technology. But they've got all the breakthrough energy technology apparently. That's all coming out in disclosure. I mean, it's just such absolute horseshit. So what does Alex Jones do? He brings on that 30-year absolute fraudster, the fraudster of fraudsters, Stephen Greer. So as Trump is going back to 6,000-year-old energy, coal, right? And here was Alex Jones endlessly parroting and screaming, Trump's going to release all the energy technology. He's going to release all the seized patents. Now there's guys on YouTube, right? Fake actors from Hollywood, saying that their patents were seized, right? And that's what they're saying. So now they're propping up this stuff. You got fake actors from Hollywood saying their patents are seized. Trump bringing back coal. I guess that's releasing all of the energy technology. That's Alex Jones' version. I guess that's what he really meant, right? So he's going to spin that because he was never wrong about anything. Someone on a treadmill, yeah, that's the endless spin, twist, and lie subversion treadmill of Alex Jones.
I think she really is running on a treadmill.
Probably.
My cat was attacking me.
Probably.
Okay, so yeah, Trump signed that executive order today. Another one, they're talking about nuclear energy. I know this is one of your favorites. Nuclear energy gains public support in the U.S. The U.S. Department of Energy has expressed a commitment to expanding America's energy potential under the leadership of Trump, talking about building more nuclear power plants with advocates for nuclear power as clean, reliable, and efficient energy source. What do you think of that?
Yeah, hey, well, why not have nuclear bombs in every school, right? Why not have nuclear bomb material, fissile bomb material in every single school and every neighborhood? I mean, I can't think of anything more that I would rather have near my kids and my family and my friends and my community than nuclear waste and nuclear waste reactors and nuclear fraud reactors and these massive heaters. One thing that they never talk about is the fact
Seems healthy to me.
Nuclear power is the #1 source of global warming. It's the biggest heater that we have. The amount of heat and water vapor that these nuclear fraud reactors are billowing into the sky every single day as they're boiling all of this water endlessly by the gigatons per reactor. That's where your biggest source of atmospheric warming is coming from, is actually the nuclear reactors. But of course, because this entire fraudulent climate agenda is controlled by the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds, who own this energy industry, they consolidated and owned 90% of it back in the early 1900s. And then they just had to divvy it up into a whole bunch of aardvark companies, so they're not the only sole owner, and make a Howard Lutnick 800 shell company type fraud to hide and obscure that they actually own this. That's all that was done at the congressional level. They didn't lose any shares. They didn't have to sell out to anybody else. They just had to break it up, so just to multiple companies, and they still have the same shareholding. and they've consolidated position since. And this is just the whole climate agenda, the net zero agenda, as Keir Starmer is saying that the United Kingdom needs to lead the net zero agenda, as if 10 years, 12 years building this one nuclear fraud reactor plant. It's still not even half built.
Let me ask you this, Thomas. Where does AOE fit in on the clean energy? They name nuclear, solar, geothermal, wind, biomass, and hydropower. Where does AOE fit on that scale of, quote, clean energy?
Censored. That's where we fit in. Censored and seized and not allowed even to operate in America, not allowed to operate in any of the aardvark, you could say 14 eyes nations. Is it 17 eyes nations now? It continues increasing how many it is. And they've seized all this technology and haven't released a single one, and they're not going to. So all of these fraudsters that were endlessly lying that Trump's going to release all the technology and make the debt jubilee and all of this crap, they have egg on their face. Hopefully they'll come up and put their hand up and say, yeah, here I am. I'm that one of those liars.
That's another level of the frauds out there, the Nasara Jasara BS. That's just like total fantasy land, but I hear you. Okay, let's continue on this economic news. Canada implements tariffs on U.S. vehicles and trade dispute. Barry, what are you guys doing up there? Canada is set to implement 25% counter tariff on certain U.S.-made vehicles starting tomorrow. The tariffs are a direct response to the U.S. imposing tariffs on the Canadian auto sector. And so we're going to have a back and forth. Trump says he wants to get it to zero tariffs for reciprocal trade. The big one here is the 104% tariffs on China. The United States today implemented 104% tariffs on China, effective immediately today. So it's in place now. In response, China, there are reports that China is in discussions and considering a ban on imports from the United States as a retaliatory measure.
Well, if they do that, then America should just ban imports from China. China has charged America 100% import tax on all their goods coming into their country for decades.
But they're a developing nation and they need help because they're poor.
Well, I'm all for the right kind of help. I mean, if it was finance, if it was actual investment, investing to their startups, taking shareholders, like something collaborative, okay, but not handouts, not hey, we get to just get a freebie from you.
Did we ever find Jack Ma, the founder of Alibaba? Remember they disappeared him?
He turned up in Japan. I guess he doesn't trust to stay living in aardvark created CCP China, aardvark Bolshevik commissarism. I guess he doesn't trust to stay there after whatever the hell it is they did to him and his family. So he's escaped to.
Well, he was counter to the state narrative, right? So he thought he was a big shot billionaire, and they're like, no, we're the state, and we'll do whatever you want. We don't care if you're a tech billionaire. We'll just disappear you.
Right, he got thought policed. There were some policies he wanted that I guess they didn't. So he got thought policed. You could say by the leftists, but who are the leftists? Obviously, it's the aardvark Bolshevik communists that are clearly in control of everything that the left does.
Okay, so big over 100% tariffs on China. Now Trump demands $350 billion EU energy buy for tariff relief. Trump has rejected the European Union's offer of 0 for 0 tariffs on cars and industrial goods, stating that is insufficient. Trump has demanded that the EU purchase $350 billion worth of U.S. energy products to qualify for tariff relief. This demand is part of ongoing trade negotiations between the United States and the EU. We'll get to the EU president later in the show. admitting that she's a Talmud, basically a Satanist. I don't know. So we'll get to that. What do you think of this? 350. It's part of the deal. So they have to buy $350 billion worth of U.S. energy products to even come to the negotiating table for zero tariffs on cars and industrial goods.
Well, it's certainly fair, and they're buying all of this oil in this way and that way from Iran. And if they want to complain about Russia, yet they're buying all of this energy from Russia and not buying it from America because they've got this discrimination against America. Oh, we don't want to buy from, we want to control and put the economic pressure on America so that they have to do what we want and we can bribe them easier. So we're not going to buy energy from America. We're going to buy it from Russia, but then we're going to pretend we're in war with Russia, but then we're not going to fund the war against Russia. But right, it's just enough of the bullshit already. So that makes a lot more sense, of course. And with the cars, of course, Europe will just charge they charge their massive GSTs and PSTs and VAT taxes and all of these other 50 taxes on the cars. Anyway, so that they recoup all of this later, and they'll just add some other crap, as they always do. These imperialists, they tax 100 different additional ways that America doesn't.
For the environment, Thomas, South Korea aims for new trade deals. So South Korea, with a recently impeached president, South Korea is discussing various trade-related items to come to the negotiating table with President Trump. I think we probably will sort out something with South Korea there.
Yeah, let's pull up this chart on the.
As we saw, China, Japan, and South Korea all recently met, like last week, to discuss what they're going to do about all these tariffs.
Let's bring up the list of tariffs so people can see. Not enough people have shown this. Let's go through this a little bit here to educate people more on what's going on as the media endlessly tries to manipulate everybody and mislead them. China here. Tariffs charged the USA 67%, but it's not really that. It's 100% on many, many goods. I lived in there, and it was 100% on many, many, many things, seemingly most things. So I don't even understand how they get this down to 67%. So now Trump has brought it up 100 to 104%. That's nice. And he originally started, okay, I'll do 34%. If China goes along with it, but China decided to increase tariffs, right, by over 30%. So Trump has responded, okay, if you're going to do that, we're going to match you. We're going to go up to 104%. But he's 50% of what China was. Here, the EU is 40%. And he said, okay, we're going to do half of what you're charging us. We're going to go from 0 up to 20%. That's very gracious. Vietnam was 90%. Trump goes up to half, 50%. Taiwan, 50%, Japan, 50%, India, 50%, 50, 50, 50, 50, 50, 50. So Trump is being very gracious. He's charging only 50% of what all of these other countries are charging. And with a few exceptions, you know, the top allies that have had these massive trade deals that are very favorable to America, UK 10-10, Brazil 10-10, Singapore 10-10, Chile, Australia, and then Turkey, interestingly enough, and Colombia, 10-10, but 50% on these other countries.
I like Aardvark land is 33% there. See that?
Yeah, 33%. Yeah,
33%. Very occult and esoteric there. And then, of course, the United States is charging them 17. So they're signaling there through numerology their occultism right there for all the.
And a 17 number that people are getting, 17Q, 17Q. Where's that coming from? So he charges Israel 17%, and the Q people just shut their mouths. They're not saying anything about this one. but maybe that's because they're so pissed off they don't know what to say about this, because probably all of the Q people are actually working for working for ISIS, the intelligence services of Israel, right? ISIS. So
more about this. Trump critiques Australia's beef import restrictions. Well, I would restrict our beef too. All these factory farmed it's not good what we got going on here. Trump has publicly criticized Australia's restrictions on American beef imports, highlighting a trade imbalance where Australia exports significant amounts of beef to the United States, while the United States faces barriers of entry into Australian markets, which is true. But again, we put our beef is toxic here, a lot of it. So you know what I mean? What do you want? The grass-fed beef from Australia or the factory farmed beef from America?
Well,
fed
Australia is more
GMO corn and
Australia,
other. Go ahead.
Australia was way more dystopic than America was on injecting absolutely
During the
everything they
medical
moved.
intervention, they were, but I'm talking about their agricultural sector here.
Yeah, I don't think they're not injecting all of their beef.
They may very well be. The
but
whole
they're
food supply may
hardcore.
be contaminated with their miracles now.
Yeah, in many countries it is, and of course they're trying to focus it on. The developing countries, as per the Memorandum 200 program run by the aardvarks over at the UN. Melissa Fleming, the protege of Henry Kissinger. So who knows what's going on there? But can you?
So who is running the economy here, Thomas? Trump says. This is a quote from Trump. He says, "Will not accept a situation where Wall Street is allowed to run the economy."
Yeah, it's crazy. He literally brought in like half of Wall Street into his cabinet. He got Howard Lutnick as the Commerce Secretary with his massive Wall Street firm, one of the biggest and most influential Wall Street firms over the last 25 years, 30 years actually, and with 800 shell companies. And he's the guy who's lording over top of Trump in the back of every single picture, and he's got hours per day of Trump's ear, endlessly coaching Trump.
It's like he's like Blinken, yeah, just like Blinken was for Biden, he is for
handler.
Trump. Yeah, right. Handler. Yeah, that's what it is.
Exactly.
So who is running the economy here? The central bank, right? Not Wall Street. Well, they're part of it, but more precisely, the central bank.
Well, it's a large conglomerate. I wouldn't really say it's a central bank. They're putting in the stimulus, the impetus, but there's this huge overarching network, the cartel, if you will, of.
But they're the ones actually setting monetary policy, is the Federal Reserve at the end of it all. And then they manipulate that to the end of the earth, but they're the ones actually setting the policy.
Right, and as we've seen before in all of these other collapses, and it's crazy. I just commented on a LinkedIn post. One of these crypto people, huge crypto influencers with these huge audiences, talking about the fear and greed index only going back 18 months. I mean, it's like these people are a joke. If you see anybody posting something over an 18-month time frame or shorter, these people are a joke. Or they're just like a total disgrace. You cannot possibly listen to these people for any kind of advice. These massive firms and these massive families.
You don't want to buy a monkey.
They don't.
You don't want to buy a digital monkey cartoon for $1 million?
They do not run the economy in an 18-month time frame. That's not how they do it. They run in these massive cycles, right? 4 years, 8 years, 18 years. That's what they do. Not 18, not something with months. Months for them is like they're one of their main indicators, the weekly stock chart indicators and the monthly stock chart indicators. They don't use daily chart. They don't use these kind of candles, you know, the little day traders and whatnot, they use that. But they don't use that. They go on weeks and months, the long-term cycles, the long-term trends. So the fear index is over the 18 months is looking pretty grim. But it's then you got all these crypto people saying, "Oh, this is the bottom. You got to buy here, and you're going to be rewarded." Let's pull this up here for the Bitcoiner.
Denver's being mean in the chat to Lutnick. He's saying Lutnick got his New York City home from Epstein for $10. Don't be mean, Denver, to Lutnick. He's our handler of the savior of America. So You can't be
Just
mean to that guy.
send
right?
us or send Sam a Weaponized News anything you found on that today, if you could, if you have time for that, or send it on over to me.
He's
I'm
just a
certainly-
shrewd real estate businessman that got a good deal. All right, Denver.
Yeah, Lutnick and Epstein have connections, deep connections, and that circle of the aardvarks there in New York is incredibly tight, and then going down into Florida and the islands, very tight, but particularly in the New York circle. And Epstein got his money from the big stock firms, Les Wexner, and so on and so forth. But here's here's a chart for the Bitcoin.
Bill Barr's dad gave him his first job as a math professor, and he's not a mathematician. So go figure that.
Right, propping him up as this CIA / ISIS honeypotter.
As a math genius, I guess you're a math genius if you just walking off the street and say, "Hey, I'm a university math professor now."
Right, and obviously Bill Barr knew what's going on. He's running massive, CIA operations with Bush 1 and Bush 2. Bring up this chart here for the Bitcoiners. I showed this on Weaponized News before. Hopefully everybody took the basic information that I provided to you to act on the massive bubbles, and you sold. Hopefully you did that. But here is, we'll go through it a little bit more. Here's this is the stock market up here, and the faded chart, the second chart that's a little bit faded there, that's Bitcoin. And it's been more correlated to, and this goes back to like 2019, and this more correlated to the stock market all the time. And Bitcoin was up here at getting up in the 108,000 area.
Why is that? Why is it correlating with the stock market? Two totally different investments.
Because you have the massive stock market companies all investing in Bitcoin now, and they do as they do. They don't do how these shitcoiners do. So you have Lutnick heavily invested. Lutnick is the #1 shareholder of Michael
So
Saylor's
we've totally lost
Bitcoin
the whole
MicroStrategy.
Thomas, we've lost the whole plot of Bitcoin, where it was originally created to try to be peer-to-peer digital money, cash. Yeah. And now we've lost the whole plot, and independent of the dollar and the Federal Reserve, we lost that whole plot, and now institutional investors are making the market of Bitcoin essentially.
Right, absolutely, which is good in some respects, that it will stay. Of course, it's brought these prices up to 108,000. That would never have happened had the Wall Street not.
But that was never even the supposed original intention of the invention, according to the white paper.
Right, that's true. But it drove prices from $3,000 a Bitcoin to $108,000 a Bitcoin. I mean, most Bitcoiners, they're not sad that Wall Street got involved and drove the price.
Well, I know they're all pumping BlackRock now, and it's like
2 times, right?
But that's again these fake people. You told me your whole life you were against all the big banks, but now ever since BlackRock's got into it, you love BlackRock, and it's like, no, you're fake. You don't have any integrity. Okay, is what I'm trying to say. For those
bring the chart back up
for
here.
those people that were telling me how bad all the banks were my whole life, and now all of a sudden that they got their bags pumped, they love BlackRock. It's like, well, you don't have any integrity at that point.
Let's just complete the lesson here on this slide here, which will be very valuable for people's financial education, since they're not getting any of this anywhere.
Kramer predicted the whole market would crash, and he was wrong. So I guess just do exactly opposite of Kramer.
So we had 108,000 here, and I was showing the correlations, and I put the charts in here. The bottoms of where these are, the basic trading channels that long-term traders would use, basic fundamental traders would use, and all of these big, gigantic investment banking firms would use, right? The masters of the universe, the Goldman Sachs and the JP Morgans, etc. This is how they do it, and showing that this will come down into the long-term channels. I was showing before, the stock market down in here to 4,400, and since these two are so closely correlated, Bitcoin should retrace in a similar. If you're looking at its bottom in here, it's like 28,000, 24,000 region here. I'm not sure that there wouldn't be so much desire to buy Bitcoin that at any lower price that it could ever go that low. But with Wall Street controlling so much Bitcoin now, these are the masters of manipulation, and for them to move a tiny market, a tiny single instrument like Bitcoin, this is an easy thing for them to do. If you think they can't do this, you are fooling yourself.
They
So
would
here,
never manipulate the market, Thomas. They're honest actors.
so this chart here, coming down to where we see 4,800 S&P 500, which is where we're at now. This is a $72,000 Bitcoin price. And where do we see Bitcoin at right now? It's about 72,000. It's exactly correlated with this same drop right here, 4,872,000. We are at an exact match in the drop. And we know the stock market's going to drop further. And that means that Bitcoin is going to drop further also.
They're in lockstep. Where is the smart money going then? I guess that's the $1 million question.
Well, it's going to bonds right now. The bond yields on the federal treasury bonds, which again, all of these fraudsters saying, we need to stop the printing. We need to stop the money supply, so none of you poor slaves can get any money to finance your house or your business or anything else, right? The end the Fed stuff is end the corruption, and the aardvark control, right, and the centralization, and the old boys club corruption that it is. But if you end the Fed, if you end the printing press, which is the best technology in human history, it's better than my technology. Even though I've broken energy hundreds of
They own the
ways.
freaking world through it. I would say so.
Well, and the way that it's being manipulated is the problem. The tool is not the problem, right? So every technology can be used for evil, and they're using that tool for their control and their evil, and to finance their partners and buddies, like Lutnick, who is one of the 22 recipients.
I'm glad you brought up Lutnick. Dude, let me pull this post up. Thanks to Denver in the chat. You'll like this one, Thomas, from the New York Post, 2015, November 17th. Clinton fundraiser held next to Jeffrey Epstein's house. And you look in this article, who was behind it? The event was at the home of Cantor Fitzgerald's Howard Lutnick.
Right.
Now Trump's handler.
Right. Yeah, so he's handled. So Clinton's laughing her ass off because they got him handled, and that was interesting. Of course, Trump was talking about quote, there still hasn't been an actual investigation into what happened in 9/11 yet. 4 days later, his whole Mar-a-Lago compound was raided by the FBI. They're carrying out all these boxes. There's running all of these charges against him for having top secret information. They're desperate to find out, what does this guy have? What does he have on us? What's he going to do? And then they wrap up that situation. Soon he has, like, whatever the hell it is, 300, 500 charges against him and lawsuits and everything else. That spurned all of that. And now we have Trump as the greatest president that Aardvark land could have ever had, is his most recent comment, right? So boy, they must have something on him that they dug up from somewhere, and Lutnick over top of his shoulder 24/7 now. So they weren't going to let, and of course Lutnick was the buildings on the 91st floor and above of the trade towers. And he, just like Silverstein, which he's practically best friends with Silverstein, being in that building, right? They might as well be partners in crime, you could say. And he was one of the biggest voices covering up what happened with the trade towers and whatnot, not exposing anything, just going along with the narrative completely calmly, like he knew everything that was going on, everything that happened. And right, he's the guy who lost all of the staff, yet the building was officially closed. So how could he have lost all the staff and had all these staff in there? What happened there? But he stayed home from work for the first time, just like Silverstein stayed home from work for the very first time. How coincidental again, right? It's another coincidence.
Just a coincidence. Okay, moving on to the Supreme Court grants the Trump administration's request to continue to remove non-citizens whom the government has designated as members of the Venezuelan Truderagua gang under the Alien Enemies Act. And we see Stephen Miller celebrating that on a post today. And that's the thumbnail here. Alien Enemies Act now in full effect. The foreign terrorists will be arrested and expelled. But the only problem is, what if they name you a foreign terrorist?
Somebody posting that the Trump raid supposedly was phenomenal theater. I don't really agree. Due to Trump commenting about the possibility of reopening an investigation into 9/11 and doing a proper investigation, obviously that is going to have people up in arms very significantly. If you're going to say, well, that was all fake, that he would never plan that he never had any intention of that, well, that's some interesting insight. If that's where you're going with that, probably that is where commenter is going with that, and then it would be spectacular theater if you had.
Well, it could be all part of the theater. Are you not entertained? Supreme Court upholds Trump's termination of federal workers today. The Supreme Court issued a ruling in favor of the Trump administration, allowing it to proceed with the termination of over 16,000 probationary federal employees across 6 agencies. So he's getting some court rulings in his favor against the government. It's all the government, and basically we're in a government war right now. Migrants ordered to leave the United States, fines and seizures possible. The Department of Homeland Security has revoked the legal status of over 900,000 illegal aliens who entered the United States using the CBP-1 app during the Biden administration. These illegal aliens have been ordered to leave the country immediately. Additionally, the Trump administration plans to enforce the 1996 law that allows for daily fines of up to $998 for illegal aliens who do not comply with deportation orders. They're trying to crack down on something. Oh, the halftime. Thank you very much there, Barry. Get your commercial ready, Thomas. I'm going to run my commercial. Again, I made this with AI. And so if you guys need some accounting work, then give me a call at this number. I hope you like my Abba Zaba Enterprises commercial. And go to Weaponized News YouTube. Give us a subscription over there. If you're watching on any of the other channels, and go to weaponizednews.com and get yourself some stickers.
Is your business stuck in the slow lane? Rev up success with Abba Zaba Enterprises. From razor-sharp accounting to seamless QuickBooks mastery, we've got your back. Consulting that sparks growth, payroll that's always on time, and taxes done with precision. Call 559-577-9250 now. Abba Zaba and
That's right. Thomas got on a roll with too much truth, they said in the chat, and we had to go ahead and cut him off with a commercial.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a great little AI commercial there. Looking forward to having Weaponized or Abba Zaba Enterprises rather doing our taxes, doing AOE's taxes and AOE's American taxes when we make a couple companies there stateside to gain finance, hopefully get some of that Fed print. That would be nice into our breakthrough energy technology startup. So Alpha Omega Energy is my little breakthrough energy technology startup, which is not part of the Trump energy dominance plan. Unleashing the American energy innovation, definitely not included in that. But let's try to get some finance. And for those who want to participate, as you're watching your stocks bleed out and get smashed, don't just sit there doing nothing and just watch it go down another 20%, 30% and just absolutely crater and sit there and take many years to ever come back. And you have no idea when it's going to come back. And you're going to sit with all of your money in these gigantic corporations that are censoring you, debanking you, and eliminating your local businesses. Don't just sit there. Get some finance, right? Sell some of your stock, fund some valuable startups like Breakthrough Energy. You have this massive lack of energy out here in the emerging markets where I've gone and placed Alpha Omega Energy. There's 4+ billion people that still need basic electricity, electricity for water pumping, electricity for sanitation services. And then you have this massive AI war that's going on, and it's all energy based, as Trump is talking about that. He's going to coal, for Christ's sake, going to nuclear in all the neighborhoods. That is not good. So we need other solutions, and the whole world needs energy way worse than anything else. It's the #1 demand product in the world. Go take a loan. If you don't want to sell your stock, go take a loan and finance our startup. And we're going to make a token, put our startup onto the token as well. We're going to mine Bitcoin with our energy. And we can do this at a very high profit margin and get paid for our electricity as we're doing it. But we need the finance, because I've been out of America for a long time, and I'm off the system. And there's none of these SBA loans or this kind of thing over here. It's much more expensive over here and takes some time to get. We won't be able to access finance until we raise about another 250,000. After that, then we can get a lot of finance. We won't even need venture capital. But you can pay nothing if you take a loan in Fund AOE. We can mine Bitcoin with the money, and we can make the payments on the loan for you. So you can pay nothing and get tons of money over the next 5 years that we have to pay you back just by doing some finance to Alpha Omega Energy. So everybody that's interested in learning more about this, reach out to me, contact me on my X account at AOE, like Alpha Omega Energy, VC Breakthrough, VC like venture capital, then BREAKTHRU, or telegram me directly at AOE Black Swan. And we can meet over Zoom or Google Meet and have some coffee and talk about it. I'm looking for people in America to do joint ventures with, and they can just run a little finance company and help us in this process. And we can make money together, change the world together, solve the energy crisis together. Obviously, the DOE is not going to do it. Trump's not going to do it. Alex Jones isn't going to do it. This fraudster, Stephen Greer, isn't going to do it, lying about alien ships and this other bull crap. No, we made that technology. Us innovators, us censored, seized innovators. We made all that technology, not fake aliens that can't even make their very first YouTube.
Okay, thank you for that commercial. Continuing here, what are we going to do? What are we going to do about the tariffs? China says it will never accept U.S. blackmail in escalated tariff threats. They call it, to quote China, they say blackmail nature of the United States tariff threats. I don't know how it's blackmail really, but seems like free market negotiations to me, but China's not taking it that way.
Yeah, it's for free market negotiations. Of course, they're going to do all the political spin and manipulation that they can in order, for things to go their way politically and have this pressure. They know that the United States is a little bit of a political pressure game, unlike Aardvark Bolshevik commissarism, CCP China, where it's just a total dictatorship. There's actually some pressure on the American political front, so they're going to try to create that.
Will it go down this much? The stock market will go down 80%. Market Watch predictor is telling us. Will it go down this much?
No, this is really ridiculous. This is the most ultimate doom and fear. This guy's way off the deep end.
Mark Spitznagel, this guy, he's predicting it'll go down 80%. That's crazy.
Yeah, this guy's shorting like crazy. Obviously, he's taken a massive short position, and he's gonna talk it down as much as he possibly can. There's no justification on the fundamentals for an 80% drop, but they're going to try to leg it out and get as much as they can. An 80% drop from this close to 6,000 where it was there. I mean, this is right. The S&P going down to 1,200. I mean, it's just it's not realistic to discount the value of all of those companies to that and pretend as if that is a fair market valuation for the all of those American companies. It's just not realistic. It's like saying that your let's say your average $250,000 house is going to be worth like $30,000 or $40,000. It's just not realistic. There is a lot of value there, and that's part of what goes into making up stock prices. So it's not going to go that low, but for there to be another 40% drop in stock prices, that's what these big oligarchs have positioned for. They're not going to. Warren Buffett's not going to be buying back in at a 20% haircut off the bubble of all bubbles. BlackRock is not going to be buying back in at a 20% haircut yet. We're just beginning. I mean, this is going to play out. And here we have next month. Where we're at. We're at April 9, right? We're 21 days away from sell in May and go away, right? Which has been the theme of investing for the last like 6, 7, 8 years. More like 7, 8, 9 years, actually. Sell in May and go away. And they're going to leave this to bleed out over the next 12 months. They want,
and then hopefully we'll have a mostly peaceful summer of riots and destruction.
Yeah, I mean, we're just in the beginnings. And then you saw the volatility, as you said. We were up 1,400 points, and then it completely reversed back down to 300 points. So you can, and that's called a dead cat bounce in the stock market. So you get the fools, the short-term 18-month chart fools buying in hopium, and yet, but the tidal wave is coming over. So then they all buy in this bounce, and the tidal wave continues down, draining out, and then it inverts again. And then when people see that, they're like, oh, they capitulate and they sell, and all of their long positions that all of those people took in there all get liquidated, and they get squeezed out of their longs, and then those longs become shorts instantly, and then the profits all go to these people who shorted before that, and then they double down on more shorts and continue, and that's where it goes, and then it just becomes a massive bleed out. And the people, these big firms, they know that, and they're going to keep selling down as they go to try to extract the most, to make sure that it goes down as far as possible. They're going to aim for a 40% drubbing, 33, 35, 40% drubbing in the market. It's just the beginning. So then once you get 35, 40%, then you're going to get these big firms looking at, placing some long-term capital again and going in heavy. They know that, wow, that's a big discount from where it was, where the market supported that. And now we're down 40%. You're going to have the long-term, the Buffett money coming in and buying up all of this at pennies on the dollar from where it was. That's when you get some real movement. But they're not coming in now. It's way too early. These are not day traders, these gigantic firms that control the world.
They're institutional investors. Okay, Thomas, let's move on from the economy. But you do get the credit. Like 2 weeks ago, you called it not due to tariffs, due to the bubble. And so you did call it and warned that it was at the top and people should, make a strategic exit to put it politically correctly there. So you do get credit for that 100%. Okay, on to some local state news. I don't know if it's local or state news back here in America. There is a Missouri municipal election going on today in the state of Missouri. I think is Missouri the show me state? I think so. Anyway, Missouri is conducting municipal elections focusing on local governance with races for positions like mayors, comptrollers, and school boards all throughout the state today. So be aware of your Missouri elections. CIA official Terry Adamarin fired amid the miracle mandate controversy. And so the senior CIA defense official, has been fired from her position. Admiral Immer was involved in the implementation of the Biden administration's military miracle mandate. Her dismissal comes amid controversy over the mandate, which has been subject to legal challenges and criticism regarding its execution and impact on service members. Here's her, and of course, she's a great American hero trying to save lives, but wound up getting fired over it today. So don't let the door hit you on the way out. Mayor Adams, this is, as we reported yesterday, Eric Adams, black man, mayor. Not that that even makes a difference, but I just find it telling that Eric Adams announced yesterday that he's leaving the Democratic Party and running as an independent for mayor of New York City against Cuomo. I killed your granny. Today he spotted at a press conference wearing "In God We Trust" shirt. Here's a good shot of it. So Eric Adams is now trying to reform himself from Democrat Party corruption as an independent, and now wearing an "In God We Trust" shirt with the American flag on it. Can he ever be cleansed of the corruption of the Democrat Party? I don't know, but he was well, they dropped the federal corruption charges against him, and so that he's found Jesus apparently now, and he's running as an independent. So maybe we can take a second look at Eric Adams, who has left the Democrat Party and has found God. Okay, this has got me all upset here, Thomas. I know you're a big pro-corruption guy like me. Boston City Councilor Tina Fernandez Anderson has signed a plea agreement and intends to plead guilty to federal corruption charges related to alleged kickback scheme. The charges stem from her reportedly pocketing only $7,000 from a staff member's city-funded bonus. Prosecutors have requested a sentence of 1 year and 1 day in prison for Anderson. A call for her resignation has been made by fellow council members. Here she is, only $7,000. That's like literally nothing in the grand scheme of corruption. There must be more to it, but I'm very saddened to report that she's pled guilty here now.
Well, she's interestingly, I guess she should have been more aardvark. She'd get away with hundreds of millions or billions in fraud. Obviously, I mean, you look at what's going on in Congress. It's always the low-hanging fruit, isn't it? Every single time, it's just low-hanging fruit. It's a 7,000. It's a 10,000. It's 100,000.
Like, see, we bust corrupt government all the time. Look at this. Oh, you got them for $7,000. Wow, that's cleaning it up. Really cleaning it up there.
Right. Yeah, it's never these the massive ones. In all of the DOGE findings, no criminal charges there.
Nothing from the federal government. She was city of Boston government. So,
yeah.
Okay, continuing here. This is quite horrific. Again, if we can 100% prove it, capital punishment for this guy. The former San Jose City Councilman Omar Torres has pleaded no contest. I guess that's basically guilty to charges of sexual molestation of a minor that occurred in 1999. The conviction was confirmed by the Santa Clara County District Attorney's Office on the same day as a special election was held to fill Torres's vacant San Jose City Council seat. And so more corrupt local government, this of the especially egregious nature. And so I guess, I don't know, I guess if you plead no contest, that's essentially guilty. So yeah, capital punishment for him. That would be justice. Obviously, he's not going to get it in California. And the racist California city of Huntington Beach, California, voter ID law was upheld by court yesterday. A court upheld the city of Huntington Beach's voter ID law, allowing the city to continue requiring voter ID in local elections. This decision came after the state of California attempted to overturn the local law. The ruling may influence other cities in California to consider similar voter ID requirements. They basically, their entire city wears the KKK hoods there, Thomas.
Yeah, it's we might have a elections integrity investigator coming on the show soon. I reached out to a couple of them, so we'll see what happens with that. But it's amazing the garbage that's going on. And you have some good comments by our audience here talking about the, I guess, the conflagration, the intersection of Lutnick and Jeff Wexner and Epstein and Bill Barr.
And Trump and Hillary Clinton.
Right, Hillary Clinton and, of course, the Clinton State Department, and also heavily connected to Lutnick and Epstein and Wexner is Yagub of the Dominion crime machines ownership.
And those are the most honest electronic voting machines that there are.
Right, the famous machines that can't be hacked, the only ones in human history that magically can't be hacked.
That they lie and say aren't hooked to the internet, but they really are.
Right, with all the wireless cards in them and 4 back doors. So Yaqub today is an Iranian, interestingly enough, an Iranian aardvark, as few of them as they are. How interesting is that? An aardvark that has an Iranian lineage, and he's in New York as well, and really great friends with these people. And of course, Bill Barr. And of course, Dominion was incubated through the Dominion Energy deep state network, a massive octopus of all of these hundreds, 300 plus companies and shell companies and incubated companies, just like Y Combinator in Silicon Valley, which is aardvark run, aardvark controlled as well through all of these private equity companies and so on that brought up Scam Altman and brought up Reid Hoffman, the PayPal Mafia, and all of these, German aardvarks out of South Africa, like Elon Musk and the PayPal Mafia, and both those, and all of these other guys as well, they're now, interestingly, these mainstream outlets that claim to be independent, that are a little bit more independent than your mainstream, like Democracy Now! As example, and they can fight on some good issues, but they're hardcore, they've got the hardcore left-wing spin on it, the Rockefeller Institute manipulation, but they do fight on a lot of the.
They're allowed to stay in their lane is essentially what it amounts to. Just like now, it looks like Alex Jones is being allowed to stay in his lane, but he's not allowed to step out of his lane.
Right, and he's got to run the cover up for the CIA.
And that's for your right wingers, and then Democracy Now! Is for your left wingers.
Right. And the Democracy Now! Is repainting and frauding that all of these PayPal Mafia people, the new oligarchs, that they're all white people. But no, they're all aardvarks. They're all aardvarks.
Well, they do have their melatonin is.
They're German Jays into South Africa. They're not white people, right? They're aardvarks. Okay, so they're lying that they're white people to, again, frame and demonize white people. That's what they're doing. That's what's going on here, and it's really amazing to see that. And they're getting away with frauding the entire left. That supposedly they're these demon white people.
Well, it's a long time thing. White people are inherently evil,
right? And that's all being propagated by these aardvarks, right? That people think it's from the left, but it's the Rockefeller Institute aardvarks that have orchestrated.
There are many layers of covers, and to ever get to the center of it all. Today is World Neurosurgeons Day celebration. The medical community worldwide observed World Neurosurgeons Day, celebrating the legacy of Dr. Harvey Cushing, known as the father of modern neurosurgery. The day highlighted Cushing's contributions, including the establishment of the first neurosurgery department at Brigham and Women's Hospital in 1913, the infamous year there. Celebrations included the opening of a new neurosurgery office there at IGMH in Maldives, and the launch of a free online neurosurgery course. Well, we're all getting free mind control from the media and our interwebs here. So we do appreciate World Neurosurgeons Day. What do you make of this? Oh, I got a drug for you to break down here, Thomas. Probably can't do it live, but
I could do it live.
a new drug has come out for schizophrenia in the state of Washington. Today, the FDA approved, or it's actually older, but now it's becoming available. It's called Cobenfy. Was approved by the FDA in fall of so just last fall, and it represents the first novel approach in decades to treating schizophrenia, which affects an estimated 3.7 million American adults. I didn't realize that many people had schizophrenia in America. That's kind of scary too. 3.7 million. It's saying in this Medical Express article, that's a lot of friggin' people with schizophrenia. The drug is now beginning to make its way.
Only that many? I thought Biden had more voters than that.
The drug's only beginning to make its way to Washingtonians, and so here's the name. Well, you can see it on the screen here. It's Cobenfy. I never heard of it, but they're saying it's better than the current antipsychotics on the market. Here it is.
It's also under name xanomeline. They're giving this as an anti-schizophrenic.
That's what they're saying. And now Washingtonians in the state of Washington have access to it. I'm sure it just kills your brain like all the other antipsychotics, but that's part of our public health. Now, Speaker Mike Johnson says fluoride in the water deserves another look. The Hill is reporting. Speaker Mike Johnson said today he thinks fluoride in the public water supply deserves real evaluation a day after the HHS, run by Bobby Kennedy Jr., Take Your MMR, and the environmental and the EPA indicated new recommendations and potential limits would be coming. So now he's acting like Congress after all these years. What, I don't know, what is it, 70, 80 years? However long they've been doing it. Now Congress is going to do the right thing for by the public health of the American people. Well, thank you very much, Mike Johnson. You're about 80 years late to the party. But it's going to happen, it looks like. At least we've never seen this type of positive rhetoric toward removing fluoride from the public drinking water supply. Don't worry, you can still get a tube of Crest toothpaste and just down the whole damn thing. And who cares? On the back of it says call poison control. If you swallow more than like a thumbnail worth of it, who cares? Eat a couple. What the hell? Protest against it as a good left-winger would. Okay, continuing here. And Bobby Kennedy, for his where he said, take your MMR miracle there with the dot disease outbreak, he has come out publicly and said, stop adding fluoride to our water. So you win one, you lose one, I guess, is where we're at here now with Bobby Kennedy Jr. Trump approves historic $1 trillion defense budget. I said war budget in the title of the show because that's essentially what it is. As we saber rattle against Iran right now, we're bombing Houthis. We're in a war with the Houthis, and nobody cares. They're bombing us. We're bombing them. They're not bombing us. They're shooting down our drones and shooting missiles at our Navy. So I would say that's a war. Yesterday,
I believe that he's the anti-war president. He's spending. He just added 25% to the military budget. He's
100 trillion, 100 or not 100 trillion. I'm sorry, 1 trillion, which is a lot of freaking money. Trump has announced the approval of historic $1 trillion defense budget for the United States, making it the largest military budget in the country's history. The president of peace here,
right. And it was already the largest, right, in human history at 800 billion and 700 billion and 600 billion and 500 billion and 400, 300, 200 billion. And now it's a trillion, but they're talking about deficit. But hey, let's cut a little bit, and whatever we cut, let's just add that directly to the military budget.
There you go.
Let's
And then
pretend
say we're a bunch of peaceniks.
right, as we bomb unilaterally without even congressional approval, start bombing the hell out of countries,
Whoever we want.
multiple countries, right, and then all kinds of economic
In
warfare.
Syria, Iraq, Yemen. I don't know if we got Lebanon officially. We probably did unofficially, and so on. Here's a report. We have to be careful about this. I still don't know if I believe any of it. I really haven't even had time to think about it. U.S. military report reveals early bat disease cases in Wuhan. A military report indicates that 7 U.S. service members may have contracted the bat disease-like symptoms during the World Military Games in Wuhan, China, in October of 2019, several months before the officially recognized start of the global health scare there. I've seen that story floated around quite a bit before it was officially reported.
And all of those troops were required to be injected as their military service, of course, when they're traveling overseas, before they travel overseas into Asia and China, etc. And the 2019 flu miracle shots were shown to generate a 32, it was either a 32 or 30% or 37%, 32 to 37% higher incidence of severe COVID-19 symptoms, according to the military and the mainstream media reports of this at the time. But you're to blind faith trust, again, the CIA narrative, that supposedly they got this from the bats at the Wuhan Huanan wet market when they
That's a story I believe on YouTube. Okay, U.S. and Panama bolster canal security cooperation, and so as we saw, China rejected the deal, and now they're saying we're working together. Pete Hegseth is saying, the defense secretary is saying during a recent visit to Panama that he emphasized China did not build it, operate it, or plan to use it for the United States. The collaboration between the United States and Panama aims to ensure the canal's security and accessibility for all nations, countering any influence that could undermine their security and sovereignty in Panama. I don't know. We're on the geopolitical section. Oh, we're almost done here, Thomas, so you should be happy. I'm happy. We'll be out of here at least in 2 hours. So what do we make of this? Are we ever going to end the Ukraine-Russia war? What is up here? U.S. and Russia now in talks in Istanbul to focus on in embassy operations. The United States and Russia are scheduled to hold a second round of consultations in Istanbul, Turkey on April 10th. The agenda for the talks will focus exclusively on the restoration of regular embassy operations between the two countries. It seems like a good thing to me that we can normalize operation or relations with Russia and not have to start World War III with them. This is a step in that direction to normalize regular embassy operations in America and Russia. What do you think, Thomas? Should we go to World War III, or should we try to be diplomatic about it and not blow up the world?
Well, I mean, I just cannot understand these white countries fighting against each other. That doesn't make any sense.
Well, like you know, the aardvarks are in there pulling the strings. Right. On top of that, UK intelligence on top of that.
That's what you tell everybody what's going on, that there's bad influence there.
Bad influence. Yeah.
That influence, the aardvark influence,
yeah,
is in there because, right, for these white nations to be fighting each other just doesn't make any sense. It's just,
and they're saying, Putin is in one of these aardvark secret societies as well. I don't know. I see that idea. The I forget even what the name of it is. It doesn't surprise me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The almost all of the upper leaders the Bolsheviks that controlled Russia, that usurped Russia, the Russian government, and controlled this and murdered the royal family of Russia. There was such a concentration of power of aardvarks there in the country, and that is slowly diluted over time.
And who sent them? American Wall Street bankers.
And but Moscow is very much still largely economically controlled by the aardvark influence, just like America has 20 to 30% or more of the billionaires are aardvarks. Russia still has the same issue. So you have these same forces inside that are pulling everything, and it's strange, the 5D games that are being played with the manipulation in all of the media and the public, and none of this is ever presented or spoken about. So there's these games played where they're trying, these people are trying not to piss off those groups and making their moves without actually talking about them. But it's there, and they're operating in this theater of this environment where they can't mention it, just like we can't mention it even here on Weaponized News. Otherwise, Sam Chaney has no hope in hell of monetization. We have to self-censor, right? So
I would say at this, it's getting the tyranny is getting so bad that you best not say it for a chance of not being winding up in a freaking concentration camp at this point. I mean, we're there. For those that can't see, we are in essentially we're in Nazi Germany but reversed here now.
Yeah, and people need to realize that in
we're in FDR's 1943 America, where they round you up and put you in a camp for being a Japanese American. Now they'll round you up and put you in a camp for being anti-aardvark because you're not anti-aardvark enough.
Yeah, the people need to realize what was happening in Nazi Germany at the time. Germany was controlled, was usurped from the inside, enemies domestic. The aardvarks took over and consolidated complete and total control of their media industry, just like the 90% of media is controlled by the 6 aardvark corporations in America. So they controlled the media, they controlled the movie studios, they controlled and they brought this massive degeneracy, porn, trans agenda, everything into Germany. They controlled the central banks, they controlled the investment houses, they controlled the lenders, and they controlled the levers of government, etc. They controlled the bioweapons industry and the poisoning and the experimental injections, all of that. And Adolf Hitler came and took that, nationalized all of that, arrested these people, and then was sending these people out of the country into Israel. Okay, let's get them out of here, give them their own country. I mean, they're subverting, destroying our society. Let's move them along. That's what was really going on. And so that's what he was doing. It was not that he made all of those institutions, like the bioweapons industry, and that he made all of this, right, smut and garbage and everything. But of course, since he lost the war, history is the aardvark history. They tell the story, and then the Rockefellers consolidated our textbooks. They made the American Education Board. They manipulated everything in the textbooks, right? Even in our lifetimes, they changed the textbooks multiple times to eliminate certain things, like actual electricity in the electric universe and so on and so forth. Right? We've seen this in our generation, right? We've seen this. So the same thing was much deeper in their total control and subversion of Germany than America's subverted by the same aardvarks now. And then you're just recapturing the democracy. So he just took over these institutions and so on. And we see the inverse happening in Ukraine, where the aardvarks are going in. They're captured all of the media. They shut down all of the other independent media. They shut down all of the churches. They eliminated actual democracy. They're running this dictatorship. And that was going on in Germany before Hitler came and recaptured this. And then they went to war, got him out of there. And so they've captured now Ukraine with this aardvark puppet Zelensky, and they want to capture, of course, recapture Russia, which they captured Russia before with the three aardvarks, Marx, Stalin, and Lenin. And you have these people that lie that, oh, they weren't aardvark, they weren't. Of course they were.
I don't think Lenin was. I think all the other ones were.
Yeah, Lenin was also.
Lenin too? Are you sure?
All three of them were Bolshevik.
Well, we know they're the good guys. They're the good guys, Thomas. Okay. What do we got now? We got.
I want to cover the dollar in the UN because there's some very interesting things happening.
Okay, let me get through these next three stories, and then we'll wrap up with aardvark news, and you can cover that story. Trump to meet with Bukele and Maloney of El Salvador and Italy in next week, in the coming week here, or week and a half, some odd. So we're going to see how that sorts out. Better than meeting with our shadow president, Mr. Bibi, yesterday. That made talk about wanting to throw up. We got video, another replay of Trump pulling out the chair for him. Man. So are we going to, there's this report here, Pentagon considers withdrawing 10,000 troops from Eastern Europe. The Pentagon is currently evaluating a proposal to withdraw approximately 10,000 of its 20,000 U.S. troops stationed in Eastern Europe, a deployment initiated by the Biden administration in 2022 in response to Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Of course, it was unprovoked. So I don't know. Are we going to rein in the troops? And then finally here, Trump considers drone strikes on Mexican cartels. So again, this unilateral, indiscriminate bombing. And I'm not saying the cartels are good, but what the hell, man? Does Congress should say something about this? If we, that's where I'm at. I'm like, wipe out the bad guys, but hey, our government's not functioning. If the president, then he is acting as a dictator. If he can just say bomb whoever the hell, you know what I mean?
Yeah, more Avril Haines style indiscriminate bombings, which she was doing under the Biden prime administrations, right, for 12 years. She was doing that endlessly through the Middle East, and now you got the same desire to continue it. And it wasn't just one person, Obama or Haynes. You had this whole infrastructure, deep state of people that were involved in doing that, and they want to continue doing it, and they want to ramp it up and make more money. And you have all of these aardvark funded and propped up Silicon Valley drone companies, and you know, the old sites, even the old NASA film studio in Palmdale, California, Lancaster, Palmdale, California, has been turned into a new drone testing facility for these high technology drones. If I had funding, if I was funded, I would even pay for Sam to go down there and take some video, do some on-site investigative journalism. Everybody wants to talk about aliens, but nobody's going down to film what America is actually building in the deserts. And what they're building in the deserts is really incredibly newsworthy, and people would love to see it. And nobody's going out there. Nobody ever goes out there to any of these sites. And isn't that interesting? When you have the entire so-called...
It's pretty damn dangerous to go out to these sites, Thomas.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I don't think so. What are they going to do? Stop you? I mean, there's nothing that they can do legally to you.
They might just drone you. It's not like they are following many laws nowadays, it seems.
Yeah, well, isn't it interesting that the entire propped up, pay-for-play media is independent media, your new narrative media? None of them are doing any actual, real, legitimate investigative journalism anywhere in the country. They don't do any calls either. You can see that they're never doing any calls. They're not doing. It's really crazy.
It's just shilling for Trump, or
and
shilling the other side, because they see the money is in the left-right paradigm of outrage, and that's what.
But they're all pumping the alien crap, and they stay away from the actual industry, American military industry. Pump the alien crap diversion, old energy, but pump the alien crap. It all comes from aliens. It doesn't come from any of these innovators. There's nothing right. We all don't exist.
ET had a red finger with energy in it, if you remember.
Oh yeah.
Okay, show us your chart, and then we got the aardvark news to wrap us up here today.
Yeah, so here is the, let's get that up on screen there. Okay, so here's the dollar. People talking about the dollar. Oh, the dollar is collapsing. Da, 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 da. Okay, no, it's just it's up above its 100 index here. It's at 102.374. As people can see, the dollar's doing incredibly well internationally, and actually, it's the currencies of all of these other countries that are getting hit with these massive tariffs, making their.
Did you freeze? You froze there, Thomas. Thomas froze up there. And then what happened to his internet? That's not good. He's going to have to log out and log back in or something. I don't know. We lost him. We'll wait for Thomas to come back in, and I will. Let's go to this. I saw this and I found it quite shocking. Not really, but it is still. Ursula von der Leyen. Well, she says Europe has the values of the Talmud. Isn't that interesting? But it just feels like they're setting them up to me. I'm telling you. It feels like a giant setup. But let's go to Ursula von der Leyen, of President of European Commission.
Europe is the values of the Talmud, the Jewish sense of personal responsibility, of justice, and of solidarity. Europe is the values of the Talmud, the Jewish sense of personal responsibility, of justice, and of solidarity.
What the hell? I thought we were supposed to hate white people because of her. This doesn't fit that narrative. Very confused. Are you back? You froze.
It looks like I was triggering some dollar doomers at Restream, so they cut me off.
Dollar doomers. You missed Ursula von der Leyen, the president of the European Union here, where she says Europe has the values of the Talmud.
Yeah, I think Community Notes was saying that was a AI-generated image, so I'm not sure that she said that or not. I haven't got to the bottom of that one yet.
I'm not seeing any Community Notes on it.
I got some Community Notes in there. I'll find that and I'll send it over to you. It should be in my notifications still, but Ursula von der Leyen is the proper name for this unelected dictator. Who should be in bars for her criminal scandals with Lizer and many other criminal scandals. So I got triggering the Restream guys there on the dollar.
She got her honorary doctorate from Ben Gurion University in Aardvarkland.
Yeah, no surprise there. Maybe she is Talmudic. Certainly there's...
Here it is, right from their YouTube site. Take a look. Ben Gurion University, right there, honoring her. So that looks pretty official to me on YouTube.
Yeah, the video does look very good. It looks very hard to tell if they can deepfake to that level. That's pretty awesome.
Notice a Ben Gurion University with her there. That's real, for 100% real. YouTube wouldn't allow that.
Yeah, but there's a video where she's talking about.
Yeah, I just played the clip. So we got to further research that. Thank you for fact checking. Okay, back to why are you triggering the doomers? Everything's going to collapse. We're all done for.
Yeah, the market's going to take a dive for a while. Of course, it's orchestrated by these big firms. But the dollar, you can see here, this is the dollar going back to 1967. None of these dollar doomers will ever show you this. America's just fine. The dollar's just fine, as you can see here. The dollar is much higher coming out of the 2008 depression, which is way down here, 2008, when things are really, really bad due to the financial crisis, the financial collapse. And the dollar was recently up here at 110, right, 110 on the index. And the index average, right, is at 100. effectively against a basket of international currencies. And that's how the dollar is priced. The value of the dollar is based on its value versus other international currencies. The value of the dollar has nothing to do with how much groceries that you can buy or not, only in America. That has nothing to do with the value of the dollar. You know, the fact that, okay, your wages are going up, so then you're buying less goods over time, right? It's costing more US dollars to buy eggs or something like that. That does not mean that the currency is going down or the currency is less in value. That's another fraud. That's another subterfuge that's being played against you. The dollar is not priced in that regard. And you cannot talk about the dollar being valued in that regard, and then at the same time, then say that the dollar is supposedly a world reserve currency. Those two things are totally opposite. You've just completely contradicted yourself if you're ever going to talk about that. I hope all the viewers can understand that. The dollar is priced, and where it generates its value is as a currency on the international market with America's 190 trading partners, massive trading partners, way more than any other country, and way more international trade than any other country. And the dollar's doing very well. It's above its 100 average index of where it's been going back here to 1967 and for much longer before that. But the dollar was way up here at 164 before in the 80s when the interest rates in America were at 21%, when Alan Greenspan skyrocketed interest rates and collapsed the money supply, impoverishing all of America, causing this massive depression, the biggest ever. So he knew exactly how to do it again in 2002 here down to 2008 and make this massive collapse, which is what Greenspan did, the Federal Reserve. It had nothing to do with subprime mortgages and whatnot, but he knew that he could collapse it by skyrocketing the interest rates 18 times in a row and leaving it there, which is what the Fed is doing now. They've moved the interest rates up like crazy, and they're not giving any interest rate relief. So here you have Trump talking about getting the Fed trying to pressure the Fed to reduce interest rates. So Greenspan collapsed the market here by skyrocketing the rates up, and he started raising the rates here again and creating this collapse. And he drove the rates up all the way into 2007. And the dollar responds based on, once he dropped the interest rates down, started inflating the American economy and making the economy strong again. When the interest rates were low, he's reinflating the economy. And now they have the rates gone up, but due to Trump pressuring the Fed, and now you have a 20% haircut in the stock market, the Fed is going to have to start cutting at some point in time in anticipation of a possible recession. And because of that, the market's going to price in, okay, we're going to price in a lower dollar, not 110, but possibly lower, and then adding this trade turmoil. So now you have the interest rates. If interest rates go down, and they're anticipating interest rates going down, that means that right, the future bonds coming out are not going to be as good in terms of their yield and their profits. So, okay, less money flowing into the dollar to prepare for buying treasury bonds, and they're going to possibly go elsewhere looking for higher yields. And that's how the dollar moves in a large regard, is based on the interest rate central bank policy. People move big sums of money around, trying to find yield, trying to find interest rate yield, going after the bonds. And corporate bonds are getting absolutely smashed right now because you have all of this uncertainty due to the trade tariffs. You don't know what corporations are going to be hurt by that. So the risk is going up, and people are holding off. They're not buying corporate bonds anymore because they're like, well, some companies are going to be very hurt by this, and some are going to do really well, and there's going to be some collapses in the private market due to some companies getting hurt. And we don't know who that is right now. So people are hesitating. They're not buying the corporate bonds like they used to, which is making the risk on the corporate bonds go up, the price is going up on the corporate bonds, which makes the yields go down, and more uncertainty. So you have a credit crunch happening in America again. And not a credit crunch as bad as 2007, 2008. Not like that currently, but it will get worse. It certainly will get worse, and there will be some bankruptcies, there will be some fallout, and that's going to affect the stock market also. And that hasn't come to fruition yet, but that's going to be a ball and chain, a tailwind on the stock market as well, and a ball and chain tailwind on the dollar. The dollar will, once these tariffs play out, and if Trump can, get this much more solid position where America's getting more taxation revenue coming in based on these tariffs, and that solidifies and stabilizes, then the dollar is going to do incredibly well. Let's go to the yuan and show the Chinese yuan here. Here's the Chinese yuan, and it's getting absolutely massacred. You can see here that the yuan, since the peak up here in 2012, 2013, 2014.
But you promised the dollar was going to collapse.
Right. All these people are promising, oh, the dollar's collapsing, imminent collapse. Actually, it's a Chinese yuan that's been collapsing. And it just fell off an absolute cliff from 2022, just in the last 3 years here, falling off an absolute cliff, boom, all the way down. And it's getting worse with these massive tariffs. Because you have massive uncertainty in the Chinese market. If you have these tariffs, how many of these Chinese companies are going to go bankrupt? Right, huge swaths of them. They're already massive. All of these big Chinese corporations are already massive houses of cards of fraud and embezzlement and malfeasance inside. They're just empty shells. They've all of the money. It's all fake financials. 3, 4, 5 sets of books called Fapiao on fake tax receipts for the government. Fake fraud financial statements to get money from the banks, and
well, we should like that then, because we support corruption.
Right. So 300 Chinese stocks, main Chinese stocks have had.
What do you say? 4 sets of books. Four.
Yeah, they run 4 sets of books in China. Very.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah, they. So maybe you should do some work with Abazaba and pick up some financial accounting on these hurting Chinese stocks. They might be looking for a new accountant. You should just advertise some Fapiao, make a Fapiao AI commercial, and they'll all come running, right? Hurting due to the Trump tariffs. Attention, Chinese companies. We got your Fapiao. We got your Fapiao. They'll all come running, Sam. Abazaba Fapiao.
We specialize in 6 sets of books.
Yeah, 6 sets of books. Hey, I mean, they'll come running. They will come running for that. They'll be like, ooh, 6. They'll come running. You can bet your ass. I would love to see you do that. That'd be great.
Okay, during your economics lesson, I fact-checked myself. I fact-checked Weaponized News here. This is 100% what she said. I'm going to play the video for everybody to see. Ben Gurion University on YouTube. Watch this, Ursula von der Leyen. This is 2 years old with only, as you can see, 8,300 views. But again, 100% confirmed this is what she said right from their YouTube. YouTube wouldn't allow this to be fake. I don't think Ben Gurion University would allow this fake video either.
And Kafka and Freud. Europe is the values of the Talmud. The Jewish sense of personal responsibility, of justice, and of solidarity. Today, almost 80 years after the Shoah,
That's her receiving her, but that's 100% not fake. We have to watch the whole thing in context. That's her, again, Dr. Ursula von der Leyen receiving her honorary doctorate. That's from the speech where she receives it.
Van der Leyen, it's Wonder. Let me correct you there. It's Wonder Liar is the proper pronunciation.
At Ben Gurion University there in Aardvarkland. And so that is 100. It's obviously not in 100% context because it's a 40-minute speech, but she did indeed say that. 100% confirmed. Live fact check on Weaponized News.
Yeah, that's great. No surprise that Community Notes then lying that it was AI generated, as they generally, often do.
Unless
real
Ben
thing.
Gurion University is creating deep fake AIs of her receiving an honorary doctorate, which I just don't see that plausible. It could happen, but I just don't see that. They're trying to say it's like, the anti-aardvark white supremacists or something are putting out deep fakes or something. I don't know, but no, it's indeed 100% real.
Is she an aardvark? It's something to look up. Probably is. I mean, who the hell would ever say that?
Well, we have to watch the whole thing to put it in context. But she did indeed say it. Talmudic values are European, to paraphrase. Here now is a great scene, probably the greatest scene in American history, where Trump pulls out and pushes in the chair. Or it's two different ones, actually. And I like the reaction here. This is two different times. You can tell by Trump's different ties there. But we do appreciate his hospitality to our shadow president, Bibi.
He's done it again! He's done it again! That is a fact! You fucking little bastard! He's done it again! You dirty bastard! You've done it again! Where is the card?
We have some fun after our fact check. Here is Bibi. Bibi, before leaving Washington, said any nuclear deal with Iran must include a complete destruction of its facilities and U.S. supervised dismantling. I like how he attaches us to the whole thing. Here he is. Let's play this clip.
Right, but not for them. They didn't allow supervision of or dismantling of their nuclear program, right?
They don't even have one.
Kennedy wanted to do it.
Officially, they don't even have one.
But we can't talk about that on InfoWars. That's only fake garbage under Gaza, right?
And I think Alex has said something about they do have nukes. But anyway.
He did talk about it.
אני מסיים עכשיו ביקור שני בארצות הברית תוך חודשיים. ביקור חם מאוד עם ידידי הנשיא דונלד טראמפ. יכולתם להתרשם מהקרבה הגדולה והידידות הגדולה בינינו. והיא באה לידי ביטוי בנושאים שדיברנו. קודם כל איראן. אנחנו מסכימים שלאיראן לא יהיה נשק גרעיני. זה יכול לעשות בהסכם, אבל רק אם ההסכם הזה הוא הסכם נוסח לוב, שנכנסים, מפוצצים את המתקנים, מפרקים את כל המכשורים, בפיקוח אמריקני, בביצוע אמריקני, זה טוב. אפשרות שנייה, שזה לא יהיה, שהם סתם יגררו את השיחות.
I don't want to be involved in any of this shit, man.
Yeah, using America as a proxy to cover it up.
Yeah, I don't want to be involved in any of this.
Make it look like it's okay. So it's again the typical aardvark strategy of using proxies, using other countries as proxies in America as their proxy. And people don't realize that right, it was the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds that went over to Germany to take out right those who nationalized the cops, Adolf Hitler, the cops, who renationalized their country from these aardvarks that subverted it and completely hijacked it and took it over, enemies domestic, and subverted the entire thing. And it wasn't your freedom-loving Americans going over to give freedom back to Germany. It was the aardvarks, Rockefellers, Rothschilds, and the rest amongst Europe and Henry Kissinger or whatnot that mobilized the military, controlled the intelligence apparatus and DOD and so on, and got the funding and finance to. And that's why the American general said, wow, we went in, we were fighting on the wrong side. We fought the wrong enemy here. Once it was all done and they realized what was actually going on. And then that was covered up because the aardvarks owned the printing press. They own the.
I don't think there is any good sides. There's no good sides. Okay, continuing. We need to confirm this. Another sketcher report, but it doesn't surprise me. American podcaster Tim Pool, one of these guys that somehow made it big on the interwebs through all these censorship. Wouldn't you know? Anyway, Tim Pool met with war criminal Bibi, our shadow president, humanitarian, otherwise known as a humanitarian and savior of America, Netanyahu, yesterday to complain about anti-Semitism in a pro-Trump space, which he blamed on Qatar. Poole expressed concerns about increased anti-Semitism and anti-Zionism in a pro-Trump podcasting space. According to sources in the room, Poole famously had Kanye West on his podcast, and the rapper walked out mid-interview after Poole pushed back against his anti-Semitic comments. Responding to Poole, Netanyahu said that is the reason he was invited to the group to meet with them. Poole argued that there is a Qatari op to manipulate social media algorithms to make anti-Semitic and anti-Israel episodes appear to receive far more views than they actually do. Say tips for pickup women in order to incentivize podcasters and YouTubers to produce more anti-Semitic content. Well, I guess they should all be banned then, right?
Yeah, well, Tim Poole's beanie is
actually with that little hat, right? That's what we thought it was a beanie the whole time, and it turns out it was a little hat.
Yeah, it's they have hats just like that as well. That's just a different style. When you look up all of the aardvark,
well, he made it big. Everybody else got banned, but he made it big during the medical intervention, Thomas. So that was all just coincidence, I suppose.
Yeah, it's the new narrative strategy is to control all theaters, total information awareness and control. And they do that through...
so are you getting paid by Qatar to be anti-aardvark, Thomas?
Unfortunately, I guess Qatar is broke. They're out of money. They paid it to all the other ones because I'm certainly not getting... I don't get $1 from any of these people.
Neither am I.
Yeah. None of the real
disclosure and transparency, no money from Qatar coming here. I'm just telling you what history shows us here. Come on, man.
I guess I need to make a call to Qatar tonight and ask them, where the hell's my money, guys? I mean, mainstream fraud news media said, so you need to hand it over.
I'm doing your anti-aardvark propaganda for free over here, man.
Yeah. Pay up a lot due. There's a lot due here.
It's causing the infighting. Now, this is quite amazing. Newly elected Randy Fine, congressman out of Florida, who has called for 5 years imprisonment for anti-aardvark flyers. He has now expressed concern over Governor Ron DeSantis's recent criticism of him and State Representative Hillary Castle, both of whom are aardvarks. And so now he's calling... But Ron DeSantis is a big aardvark. This feels like, I don't know. Let's watch the clip here, because I guess he's not anti aardvark enough. Here's a Randy Fine, a great American, calling for your imprisonment for words on a paper that he may be offended by.
But he's been also going after another Republican. Well, she's a fairly new Republican, Ms. Cassell, state rep. Democrat, now turned Republican. Now he's been going after both of you. You think it's open season for Republicans that he feels aren't fitting that mold of a conservative, or that just kind of have bucked him over the past year or so?
Well, I don't understand the details with Rep. Cassell, but what I will tell you is it's dumb. I mean, Representative Cassell switched from the Democratic Party to the Republican Party. And so obviously she's not going to be as conservative as everyone else, but do we want to be a niche party, or do we want to be a big tent party? Now, I mean, she switched because she's Jewish, and she didn't like how Democrats did with Israel. Maybe that bothers Ron DeSantis, I don't know. But I don't understand why you would take a shot at someone who will have a hard enough time keeping that seat as a Republican. I don't know why he wants to make it harder.
Do you think he takes issue with the fact that you are who you are and Ms. Cassell is who she is as far as background?
I don't know. I do find it troubling the two politicians in Florida that he has chosen to take issue with in a very vitriolic way in the last few weeks are both Jewish, and there's a small number. So I don't understand it. But look, as it relates to me,
they love to be the victim. Ron DeSantis literally has the freaking Star of David tattooed on his forehead, for God's sake. And but he's targeting us because we're aardvarks. It's just like, get the out of here, dude.
Yeah, and it's everything's being spun, and they're injecting even in apartheid South Africa. You have these Trump is now banning certain products from South Africa, taking punitive attacks, economic attacks on South Africa. At least he's calling out the genocide being done on whites in there. But it's interesting because he says on whites, but predominantly the whites that went down to South Africa were actually aardvarks, and German aardvarks went there, and they were running the apartheid regime. That's who was running all of that, and that's why you have all of the PayPal mafia families. They're all aardvark bloodlines, and so all of these guys that came over there in the Musk. So I sent you in the DM there a video that Democracy Now! Did. Maybe we can if you don't have a doco to air at the end of the show here, you can air that one. People need to take it with a grain of salt because there's a lot of manipulation, and it's a perfect example for people to see and watch the manipulation that's done to frame the PayPal mafia and frame Elon Musk as they're exposing him for his massive elite political connections in South Africa. And they finally talk, the first mainstream media to finally talk about the technocracy. And Joshua, is it Joseph or Joshua? I'm forgetting again. Elon Musk's
Democracy Now! Is not really mainstream media, though.
They're still funded by the same people, the same outfits and whatnot, though they claim to be independent. They claim to be user-funded. They still get massive funding from.
They got a hell of a big YouTube account. They got 2.7 million subscribers on YouTube.
Yeah, they have massive infrastructure. Massive.
So they weren't censored or banned during the medical intervention period. That's for sure. They said, take your miracle and the government loves you.
Yeah, and they have multi-million-dollar studio, massive staff. This is organized.
But they produce like a ghetto-looking, like, you know what I'm saying? Compare with all that, they still try to look like they're grassroots-ish.
They try to look that way, but they're not. It's very clearly that they're not. That they have massive establishment infrastructure and establishment people in there and establishment funding. And it's big funding, and they get all of the big names and guests for just a little YouTube channel, and they get all of the biggest people in the NSA whistleblowers, and all of these deep state people.
That's true.
I mean, it's, they have, of all of the so-called independent small media, they have the biggest access to Washington and the deep state of anybody. And that's not a coincidence, folks. That's another coincidence.
Let me read, Thomas, right from that documentary, from their page. This is their description. They say Democracy Now! Is an independent global news hour that airs on over 1,500 TV and radio stations Monday through Friday.
Right, and you think you're going to get that as a small independent? You think that's going to be that's going to happen? You're going to get that kind of reception?
1,500 TV and radio stations. We're trying to play a show on friggin' YouTube with 5 watchers without getting banned.
Right. Yeah, you think you're going to get that kind of penetration and support on all the mainstream networks if you're not part of the program? Of course
something's going on. This is red meat for the left. All right, I think that's all we have. I think that's all we have today. One last report here. Thankfully,
one point. Let me just insert this last thing. So what they're trying to do with this doco, which I think we should play it. What they're trying to do is they attack Elon, right? Because hey, he's exposing, so he's doing something that the aardvarks don't want him to do. So they attack Elon, they attack all these new oligarchs, etc., the new American oligarchs, and they completely hide that they're all aardvarks. And then they insert, they're doing the same thing that they did to the aardvarks in Nazi Germany. So they insert the victim story again. to hide the fact that it's all aardvarks literally doing it and doing these things. It's them doing it, but it's just how they spin this so easily, and it's amazing how stupid the people actually are. And I'll never forget when Sam said this to me, Thomas, you'll never believe it, how effing stupid so many people actually are. And it is really amazing that it only takes these two little strategies. They call them white people, and then everybody pretends as if they are. And then they insert they're doing the same thing that was done to the aardvarks in Nazi Germany. They insert these two things, and that's it. And everybody's completely brainwashed. That's all it takes. They're never able to see past this. So if people should look at this, what democracy now is doing, the spinning and the manipulation through this documentary. But there is some very valuable information about these people and their backgrounds and what they're doing. But you need to realize who they are and where they come from and what side they're actually working for and on. And if you do that, you can really see through what's happening here. So that'll be valuable for people.
All right. Thank you for that. What do we got? I had a documentary, but I can hold off on that one. It's a longer one. I'm sure Liza Bind would like it. She probably already seen it before. Where the heck was it? But it was a deep dive here. Did I lose? Oh no, it's called here I did lose it. Did I lose it? I'm gonna have to find it again.
And the speaker on the Democracy Now! That was doing the investigation into Musk's family and these aardvark PayPal mafia people, the speaker doing that, appears to be someone that worked for the British government before. Looks like ex-intelligence, MI5, MI6.
That's what I'm saying. The UK intelligence are the aardvark handlers, the next level of it.
Right. So people need to keep that in mind watching this as well.
I'll try to play it this week. Of course, we can't play it on the YouTube because they say you're using they say third. Even though it's on YouTube, if I try to play it on this show, they'll say it's third party and you can't do it. So, but anyway, I got this documentary. I'll just throw it up there, and I had not seen it before, and I watched a good 50 minutes of it today before the show, and they go hardcore at it. So. Zionism and Christianity, Unholy Alliance, full-length film by Ted Pike. And reiterating everything that Lies That Bind was saying here in the chat that I was noticing as I glanced over during the show. So anyway, we'll find some time to, very telling documentary there. It's an hour and 35 minutes. We'll play that on another day for those interested. Just confirming, and they go into the whole aardvark conspiracy there for you, laying it out. But be a good Christian and support aardvark land. Let me tell you, or you're going to hell. It's probably the exact opposite. Okay, last story of the day. We're thankful that Senate advances Mike Huckabee's nomination for aardvark ambassador. And so was there ever any doubt? But the U.S. Senate voted to invoke cloture on the nomination of Mike Huckabee to be the U.S. ambassador to aardvark land with a vote of, and of course they're playing politics, they 100% support it, but a vote of 53 to 46. This procedural step paves the way for the final confirmation vote for former Arkansas Governor Mike Huckabee to be aardvark ambassador. And so we do really appreciate that. He's fully a full psychotic that should probably be put in a straitjacket, but the way the world is, he'll be given a kingship soon, potentially. Okay, that's all we have for today on this episode of Weaponized News. Let's go to the channels quick, and then before we sign off, let's go to Odysee. Oh, quite a bit on Odysee there today. Thank you guys for tuning in. I see Huffman, Barry, J-Con. There's a new one. Haven't seen you in the chat. Thank you, J-Con. He says, keep up the great work. Thank you for tuning in, J-Con. Dragon Fox jumped in there. The ADL killed my black wife. Wow. Okay, that sounds crazy. With fentanyl and Chardonnay. I think that's a parody. I think that's a parody video. Very dark there. Thank you for that, Dragon Fox link. Highland, thank you for tuning in on the Odyssey.
They're just being Talmudic. They're just keeping with the Talmud. Come on.
We're hung up again. I don't know what Bitchute has glitches, bugs, whatever, but thank you for tuning in. I see a few people on the Bitchute today, but my videos are hung up there again, not loading. So I'm gonna have to email them again. They were quick to fix it last time. So thank you to their tech support at the Bitchute, but it's just, I don't know why it keeps happening. Now we're 4 videos after this one are going to be hung up and not available for on-demand replay. So, but anyway, thank you for tuning in on the Bitchute, and their tech support is good, but you have to email them and let them know. And as always, thank you guys for tuning in on the Rumble lively chat. For those on the other channels, the most lively chat is in the Rumble Weaponized News Rumble channel. Go to Weaponized News with Sam Chaney, and that's the most lively chat with our regular listeners there. I'm sure everyone will enjoy it as I do, trying to catch what they're saying as we're doing the live show here. Thank you everyone for adding to the chat as we're concerned about Barry. Is he out doing his night job, Karen? Just kidding, Barry. Okay, thank you everybody for tuning in on the Rumble. Thank you everybody for tuning in on the Facebook and the YouTube. And now we're going to turn off YouTube to play this documentary, or they will flag me and say that I'm third-partying something. It's a news friggin' documentary. This is for educational purposes only. They don't care, right? They don't care. They will still flag me. So anyway, if you're on YouTube and you want to watch this documentary, go to Democracy Now! Watch it right there, or go to Weaponized News and continue on with the stream. Here it is. There it is on their Democracy Now! YouTube channel. Elon Musk's family history in South Africa, ties to apartheid and neo-Nazi movements. So now I'm going to cut off the YouTube stream. See ya tomorrow, YouTube. And I'm going to cut off Facebook too, just because I don't fully trust Mark Zuckerberg yet, even though he is a bro now. I don't think we can fully trust him in the censorship game yet. See, they turned me off. They made me, let me make sure it's off.